What's up everyone, my name's Kokuin. Welcome y'all to a new Inazuma 11 guide on my channel. Today I will be talking about stats and how they work in Inazuma 11 Victory Road. I will be covering three main things. Firstly, what stats are there and how do they work? Secondly, how do the stats pull into the actual match actions? And three, how to calculate your own player's match action values from just the stats. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more guides like this, or feel free to leave a comment down below what kind of guide you want to see me do in the future, or join my Discord server, first link in the description, to give me any more video suggestions or just talk with me about this game. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So, what even are stats? Stats are basically base player attributes that show how good a player is or isn't in certain aspects of the game. Players have 7 base stats: kick, control, technique, intelligence, pressure, physical, and agility. So let's look at all the stats individually and what they do. Starting off, we have the kick stat. Kick boosts the player's shooting ability and is especially important for forwards. The truth is, this kick stat is the main contributor towards shooting AT, counting in it entirely. It also gives half of itself towards the focus battle AT, aka the value that you have when you have the ball in a focus battle and you're trying to get past the opponent. Moving on, we have the control stat. According to the game, it measures a player's ability to handle the ball and is important for all positions. In reality, it is more of an attacking stat, contributing in its entirety into shot AT, but also into the focus battle AT. Next up is the technique stat. It reflects how well a player competes for the ball and is key for midfielders. This stat is actually the most important stat in regard to focus battles, since this stat entire purpose is focus battles. It contributes equally into focus battle AT and focus battle DF, contributing into both of them with the entire stat as a raw value. Moving on, we've got the intelligence stat. It reflects a player's football IQ and tactical awareness. This stat influences focus defense and also all values in a scramble, counting in its entirety into scramble AT and DF. That means even though we can't really see the values in the scramble, we only see the actual percentages, there are numbers behind it, and I'm going to show you how to calculate those numbers later on in the video. Moving on, we have the pressure stat. It shows how well a player disrupts opponents in close challenges. This stat is one of the major defending stats, counting into scramble defense, castle wall defense, and double into the keeper HP. Next up, we have the physical stat. Physical is all about raw strength. This might be the most important defensive stat, unless you count technique for those focus battles. Physical counts in its entirety into the castle wall defense and triple into keeper HP. But it also contributes with its entire stat into the scramble AT. I think this is a very bold choice, making physical go into an offensive thing, given that the stat indicates it as for goalkeepers and defenders in the game. But that is how it works, and I'm sure Hino had some kind of thought behind that while coming up with this. The last stat on the list is agility. It measures how fast and reactive a player is, especially for goalkeepers. As the description might have led you to guess, this stat is mainly for goalkeepers. It contributes quadruple into the keeper HP, but also gives half of it into the focus battle defense points. So opposing to the kick stat, contributing to offense. So how do all of those values in matches come along? That is the next thing I will talk about. Match actions. To show you how to calculate the value in those match actions, I will use Hikaru as an example, with the stat spread that you see right here below. But what kind of match actions are there that you can calculate? Well, the answer is, calculate, you can all of them. There are scrambles, shooting AT, focus battles, keeper points, and castle walls. Basically everything that's important to the game. Scrambles and focus battles divide between focus battle AT and DF and scramble AT and DF, depending whether you're the player on the attacking team or on the defending team. So let's get right into the very first match action. Starting off with scrambles. If I were to defend on a scramble, my scramble defense value would be calculated taking the intelligence stat and just adding the pressure stat onto it. This is basically just the raw addition, but I did decide to put the factor at which they feature in before all of the calculations, so you can get behind the logic a little bit more. So this would amount to a total of 460 base scramble defense for Hikaru. If we look at the offensive side, here we need to take intelligence and physical into account. So the scramble AT that we have would only be 425 for Hikaru. Next up is the focus battle. This is probably the interaction you'll see the most, unless you count shots and keeper HP, but those vary in a bunch of other factors as well. So this is the most consistent one. If I want to know how good I am at defending in a focus battle, the calculation is rather easy. You take the intelligence stat, you take the technique stat on top, and then you add half of the agility stat. I apologize for the typo in the presentation. The value is indeed 645.5, which will get rounded up to a total of 646 base focus defense. Now if we were to look at the offensive side and our focus battle AT, if we have the ball and want to break through a defender, it would look a little different. We would take the technique stat once again, then add the control stat on top of it instead of the intelligence stat, and then instead of half of the agility stat, we have half of the kick stat featuring in. In this specific example, coincidentally, it also amounts to a total of 646. So a player with these kind of stats is actually equally good in focus battles on offense and defense. The next match action on the list are the keeper points. Those are basically the HP or lives that your keeper has that get displayed at all times. This is one of the only calculations that has numbers feature in more than just once. The keeper HP are calculated by taking in double the pressure stat, then adding triple the physical stat, and then adding quadruple the agility stat. In Hikaru's case, those stats in total would amount to a total of 1186 keeper points, which makes sense given that he's not a very good keeper as a midfielder. The second to last thing we have on today's list is castle wall defense. Castle wall defense is the main defense action in the zone and is used to block shots, for example. If you have a good defender, he can sometimes even block entire special moves just with his castle walls. So let's look at how they get calculated. The castle walls are just calculated by adding up the pressure stat and the physical stat. So those are the two stats that you might want to look out for if you have your center back and you're unsure how to build him. Hikaru in this scenario would have a base castle wall power of 291. So moving on to the last bit of the video, how to calculate your raw shooting AT. It must be noted that all of these match actions are raw. That means no team passives, no elemental reactions, no player passives. This is just purely based off of stats. The shot AT simply get calculated by adding up the kick stat and the control stat. In Hikaru's case, this would add up to a total of 435 shooting AT. So yeah, this is it. This is everything you need to know about stats in Inazuma 11 Victory Road. I don't think this video is going to be that long, but I still hope you find it very informative, that it helps you figure out a way to build your players, to what stats to go in, what stats to look out for in your players. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more guides like this, leave a comment down below telling me what I should do a guide on, or join my Discord server, first link in the description. And with that, I'll take my leave, and I'll hopefully see you all again in the very next video. Peace!